Hi there. Welcome back, everybody, once again to YouTube Live for the second time this evening. And this is my second attempt at doing a live video tonight for Guy Fawkes Night, largely because the first one was unfortunately interrupted, it seems. I was doing the live video on my phone, and a phone call came in and it completely disrupted the live connection, unfortunately. So I'm hoping that we have sound this time, because the that incoming call completely killed the sound on my on the live video last time. So all I could do really is make another attempt, because I very much apologize. I spent the entire last half of that last video talking and without realizing that anyone was hearing me. So I right now I can only hope that folks can hear me. As far as I could tell, my sound should be okay, but I'm hoping might be able to verify this. Let me okay, you hear me. Good. All right, then in that case, let's continue, because this is not going to be as long as a Cast Iron Wednesday video. I promise you that. Basically, it's going to be in two parts. I'm going to take my first cooking out of the oven, and then we will prepare some Parkin cake, which is something I've been wanting to do for a while anyway. Yes, because those who know the traditional foods made on bonfire night or Guy Fawkes night, Parkin is one of the most popular. It's an incredibly sticky and sweet cake made from molasses and honey and brown sugar. So yeah, this is one of those things that dentists love, and but so does everybody else. So without further ado, let's start by revealing the first part of the cooking tonight, because the other thing that is most commonly, the other food that is most commonly made and eaten on bonfire night is, in fact, bangers. What a surprise there. Nice name for it. And that is what we made first of all tonight. So, actually, of course, this thing is so heavy. Got to get out my second glove. But let's get this out. Okay, here we go. And at least this was an excuse to use a Finex cast iron skillet. There we go. And we did indeed make ourselves some bangers, or at least some sausages. This what I essentially use the same recipe that you might make an Irish cuddle. If anybody who has had Irish cuddle knows, it is a very simple and easy dish of braised sausages and vegetables. And what we have here are, in fact, some sausages, along with some apples, which have, the apples have dissolved, of course. They were Macintosh apples, some onions, and also some squash or butternut squash. So I'm actually looking forward to having this tonight. The big thing, of course, is the bangers or the sausages. So, I suppose the name is probably what makes it most appropriate for Guy Fawkes Night. But we can put this aside and let it cool, because we do have another project to do here tonight. Hello, Elsie's cat, and hello, William Hurt, and hello, Debbie. So we are all good here. I do wish you folks. No, I do wish the video had worked with the preparation of this sausage dish, because it was very easy, and I'd be quite satisfied with this. However, as I said, I have been indeed looking forward to making Parkin. And so let's go on and start doing that. Hello, Chris McGee as well. All right, which means we get to move over to another cast iron pan, a vintage cast iron pan, in fact. This cake is so sweet that we are actually going to have to use parchment paper to bake it. So apparently there is very little chance that this thing will be non-stick coming out of the pan. So would rather not take any chances. You could tell, like, oh boy, wonderful. Just dropped my Crisco. Fortunately, Crisco is so thick that nothing fell out. Um, so you could tell as well that this is definitely a dish from the olden times because it is incredibly packed with sugar. And I suppose the original recipe probably would have had a ton of fat in it, like most classical British dishes. Meaning no offense to anybody from Britain, that's just a fact. Okay, so let's lay out some parchment paper. And then from there, we will head over to the stove. There we go. Oh, this, by the way, is lucky number 7, my gate marked skillet, which I normally use for cornbread, but it seems to be about the right size for this recipe. The recipe calls for an 8x8 baking pan, and this seems to be about the same dimensions for it. So it seems that Lucky is going to be cooking some bonfire night bread tonight. Okay, now I had wanted. I mean, Parkin is a cake that, in fact, had been. I first saw Parkin when I watched an episode of Tasting History. In fact, about the about Guy Fawkes and Guy Fawkes Night. Yes, because yeah, Tasting History, the same YouTube channel that I went to visit a couple of weeks ago on my little road trip to New Jersey. And in fact, I took out the cookbook for Tasting History to see if the Parkin recipe was in there, and unfortunately, it was not. So I guess this was. I guess the Parkin or the Guy Fawkes episode took place after he had compiled the recipes for the book. So be it. So as a result, I had to go online and get another recipe for Parkin, but it's easy enough. So let's get started here. And here is where we have to prepare a sauce. So I'm using now a cast iron, to be precise. This is a BSR 2-quart saucepan. I considered using the Lady Best pan, but I'm thinking that may very well be too big for that. So, hello, well, I see a new type of cornbread recipe. Saw it. Sweet potato cornbread. Sounds good, Val. Okay, let's start with a very low heat and start with our ingredients. The first thing we need, and which of course the one thing I did not get out of the fridge, and that is half a cup of unsalted butter. Half a cup. So that's half a stick of butter. All right, that's what we got. I did my best to prepare, but I'm not so sure if I did everything right. Okay, half a stick of butter, half a cup of dark brown sugar, which I did get out. Here it is. Okay, the brown sugar. Move this over a little bit. Around half a cup of brown sugar. Come on. There we go. And once this is done, I would like to at least get something off my chest as well in regards to Guy Fawkes Night. Besides the fact, of course, that this is a very political holiday because it's essentially folks celebrating the failure of a terrorist plot. But then again, how many holidays in the United States are not political? I mean, when you deal with just about anyone, ranging from the 4th of July to President's Day to Memorial Day to Columbus Day, boy, is there ever a lot of politics in that one. And even in Thanksgiving, they put more politics than they should in that. Okay, 1 cup of honey. All right. Okay, looks like I need to undo this. Come on. Here we go. Brand new container of honey, which I guess is a good thing. Yeah, a cup of honey. How many recipes these days call for a full cup of honey? That's definitely an interesting recipe here. So, good thing I happen to have a lot of honey on hand right at this moment. Maybe I shouldn't use the squeeze thing. Oh, it's almost there. Come on. Almost there. One more. This is slower than molasses in January. And yes, in fact, this dish does use molasses also. Brown sugar, honey, and molasses. That's what I mean about this being a very sticky dish. There we are. All right. And in it goes. Okay. And while I'm at it, here it is, get out the spatula. There's a trick of using olive oil on a cup when you are pouring molasses. I tried that with honey. It did not work, unfortunately. The honey has a different consistency from molasses, unfortunately. Nonetheless, there we go. A full cup of honey. And then from here, 2/3 of a cup of molasses. You know what? I think I'll use the same dish as the same cup because why not? After all, it's going the same place. Let's dig out the molasses ugh, and measure out approximately 2/3 of a cup. Which, interestingly enough, the molasses pours much faster than the honey. Although that's why I get this specific brand, Grandma's brand of molasses, because it's the only one of molasses that has a very wide mouth on the jar. Makes it much easier to pour. Okay. Now let's get that. Here it is. Spatula once again. So yeah, I'm sure some folks here, their teeth must be tingling just from watching this video. We've got a combination of honey, molasses, and brown sugar in here. So yeah, this indeed is, well, you can tell it's a British dish, can't you? Let me make sure I'm doing this right. The recipe says stir molasses and honey until the sugar is dissolved. Okay. And then remove from the heat. All right, we'll do. Which means, there we go. I could probably turn the heat up just a slight bit because this probably shouldn't take too long, although the butter is not melted yet. However, I did want to say as well, in regards to Guy Fawkes Day, I am not interested in arguing over politics. I've done that too much on my channel already, but I mean, the politics are inevitable when it comes to Guy Fawkes Day, and I just feel that I would like to point out the difference between history and the movie V for Vendetta, which is where a lot of people have heard of Guy Fawkes Day. Namely, that my opinion, based on my research into history, is that Guy Fawkes was indeed a terrorist. He was not some kind of an anarchist trying to free us and bring back our rights and free humanity from oppression or anything like that. The character in the movie was the character in the movie V for Vendetta. He was indeed doing that. He was also a terrorist. But the big difference there is that in the movie and in the novel V for Vendetta, which I have indeed read, Alan Moore is one of my favorite authors. But in the novel, he was committing acts of terrorism against what was an unquestionably corrupt and evil and what's the word? I can't even pronounce it. Um, Authoritarian government. Whereas, despite what some folks may say, the current government is nowhere near at that point. Um, as such, while V in the movie was indeed fighting to free people from this horrid government control, V in no Guy Fawkes himself was, in fact, a terrorist, and what he was intending to do was to destroy the British monarchy, um, or at least the British system of government, by blowing up the Houses of Parliament, and thereby returning England to Catholic rule under the authority of the Pope. So, yeah, there's a hell of a lot of politics involved with that, and as such, Guy Fawkes was not a goody goody. Um, and that is one of the reasons why people celebrate the failure of that plot, of the gunpowder plot. More than that, I probably should not get into because I'm not that much of an expert on history. But nonetheless, there's the difference, I suppose, in that they really are celebrating the defeat of a terrorist. That's real. As far as political holidays go, I suppose that's not so bad. I mean, for instance, I wouldn't mind seeing a holiday for when we actually bagged Osama bin Laden, although that's never going to happen because of the incredible politics that would be involved with fighting for a holiday like that. That's about all I'm going to say, in fact, on that subject. Oh, by the way, this is actually definitely smoothed out. It's a nice sauce right now. But I mean, because of all the politics involved, I only wanted to point out what I think is the difference between the book, which is a good book, and the movie, which is a good movie. But they are fiction. They take place in a fictional 1984 like future, the difference between the book and the movie and actual history. So sorry, Anonymous. I'll talk about Anonymous at some other point. So, are we making something sweet? We are making something incredibly sweet, in fact. This is, in fact, a combination of brown sugar, honey, and molasses. And now that that's all smoothed out, we can remove from the heat, it says. So let's do just that. All right. And now from here, we can move on to part 2, which is move back over here. I think I can move this to the side now. Ooh, still hot, unfortunately. So let's move this dish. Boy, this looks appetizing. Oh, once this is over, I'm probably going to be chowing down, in fact. Nonetheless, it's time now to break out the mixing bowl. Here we are. And check the recipe one more time. Yes, this is my first time making this. But it didn't seem very hard. In a mixing bowl. Now we do the dry ingredients. Okay, which is flour. Yeah, that's right. All right. 1 cup of all-purpose flour, which is why I'm glad I did not use my half cup here. Oh, there it is. Why did I think thought I had the flour out, but I seem to have put it back. Okay, 1 cup of flour, which is 2 half cups, duh. And this camera is too far away. There we go. Sorry about all that. 1 cup of flour. 1 and 2. Then next would be 1/2 cup of steel cut oats, which I went out and got today, especially for this recipe, because it was a good excuse to do so. And I have to break open this silly. Oh, there it goes. This container, in fact. That wasn't so hard. Okay, steel cut oats. It's interesting. Yeah, basically, these are oats that have been pulverized. So, get as much flour residue away as I can. 1/2 cup of steel cut oats. And next would be 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. So here's 1/2 teaspoon. Actually, yeah, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. Another funny thing I discovered about while doing some research for this recipe, just yesterday, in fact, I stumbled across a surprising piece of history. And that is that, in fact, Guy Fawkes Night was also celebrated in colonial America in a very, well, I guess you could call it rebellious fashion. You see, well, not really rebellious, but rather because people would celebrate especially in Boston, my former hometown, no less. They would celebrate Guy Fawkes Night or November 5th with drunken revelry, and they would end up also burning effigies of the Pope. Yes, seriously, and I'm not making this up. I am not going to endorse that because, again, I'm really not interested in getting into big political or religious arguments over that, but that is what they did. And this was a very popular tradition in Boston, too, lasted for decades, and it was finally phased out around the time of the American Revolution. Okay, let's see here. This was, again, baking soda, baking powder, 4 teaspoons of ground ginger. Yeah, this is the easy part. Basically, you just throw all these ingredients together. And it's a good thing I got my ginger powder from an Indian market, India, the country, that is, because yeah, there's definitely no shortage of ginger powder here. Okay, so 1, 2, yeah, 4 teaspoons. Wow. In fact, this is definitely not just a sweet cake, but it's a gingerbread cake. Okay, and there's number 4. Okay, boy, I think this is the first time I used 4 teaspoons of ginger powder in anything. I haven't even used that much ginger in a Christmas cake. All right, then 2 teaspoons of freshly ground nutmeg. Means there's an excuse to, where did I put it? There it is. Get out my microplane and start scraping away at some nutmeg. Okay, because this is an excuse to pretty much bring up what I brought up in a short video. I think it was just last week, in fact. There we go. Namely, that it's fun to grate, or it's fun to grind or grate nutmeg. And the resulting flavor of grinding your own nutmeg is wonderful. And what I said in my video last week was that If there is any spice at all that you really should grind yourself and not just simply buy the powdered stuff, it would be nutmeg. Because nutmeg, as you can see, is very dry, it's not wet, so it doesn't get liquid or juice or seeds all over the place. Um, it's very easy to grind. I'm not using a lot of effort here. And most importantly, the flavor difference is incredible. I can smell this. Oh yeah, and the smell of nutmeg is nice too. So this is a huge difference from buying the powdered stuff. Whether we're talking about from the dollar store, do they still sell nutmeg at the dollar store anymore? Or even if we buy the fancier McCormick stuff, which is ridiculously expensive. So I would rather suggest you find, and by the way, I got these again at an Indian market or a foreign market. These are nutmegs. So I would very much recommend you get some of these and grind your own nutmeg. It's probably easier than just about any other spice I've ground myself. As such, I very much recommend it. All right, so much for the recruitment. Now that we've done all that, oh yeah, add a quarter teaspoon of salt. And I don't know why I seem to have to comment on everything, but here's a comment as well. Namely, does a quarter teaspoon of salt do anything? I mean, that's really not a lot of salt. And it's a question I might actually want to look into. But there it is. Quarter teaspoon of salt. Okay, now once we have done the dry ingredients, add molasses honey to the dry ingredients, stir and whisk until combined. Add the beaten egg. Oh yeah, and then after all this, we do an egg and some milk, and that's pretty much it. So we're almost done with this live video. By the way, I was not going to be here as long as Cast Iron Wednesday. I only wanted to do enough, really, just to, well, really say my little piece in regards to Guy Fawkes and Guy Fawkes Day more than anything else, as well as to start this Parkin cake. Because once it goes into the oven, it's going to have to bake for an hour. In fact, I've got to turn the oven up to 325 degrees before I forget. Bake 325. Okay. Anyway, whisking the dry ingredients, and because that liquid is so sticky, I'm thinking instead of using this whisk, I will just use the spatula. So that is what we will do. Break out the spatula, and here is our viscous liquid. And it goes. So yes, again, I promise you we are almost done here, folks. But I appreciate very much everybody who's been kind enough to show up here and appreciate and put up with my yammering about this. But well, as I said, I am doing this specifically to remember the 5th of November. Make a cake, yes, but definitely it's a subject as well. And I hope, as I said, I hope I haven't upset anyone. Although I think as far as politics go, Guy Fawkes Day, at least here in America, is probably not as crazy as some of the other political subjects that people are arguing about these days. Or at least I hope not. As I am really sick of politics, as I'm sure everyone else is as well. Anyway, mix all these together. It's very wet liquid, but I'm basing this on the recipe. Okay, the oven is at the right temperature. However, it is coming together. And besides, at this point, I need to add 1 egg, which I actually do have out to room temperature, amazingly enough. Actually, now it's starting to look like a cake batter. And from the looks of it, I think it will fit nicely into lucky number 7. So here comes 1 egg. Come on, do this right. Ugh. Well, that wasn't so great. So let me get my, there we go, wash my hands off quickly and mix in this egg, which according to the recipe, I did this wrong. Apparently I should have beat it first. Well, that's all right. It looks like it's still mixing in okay, because this is actually a very wet batter. So we're really not having that much difficulty. And for this, after this, we just do, is it a 1/4 cup of milk? Let me check that recipe one last time. Um, Almost done. Yeah, that's the last ingredient. And yes, it's 1/4 cup of milk. So let me get that out of the fridge. Thank you for waiting after all this time. Oh, good. Oh, good. In fact, this is a brand new gallon of milk, too. So let's open this up. There we go. And this was just a 1/4 cup of milk. So this is a 1/2 cup, so it's only about a half of this. There we go. And with this, it will go into our prepared cake pan or cast iron pan. We just quickly pop this back in the fridge, and then we will go on to the final step. So yeah, actually, this really was not hard to put together. But then again, it does seem like the most popular recipes, especially older recipes, they're all very easy to put together. Which frankly I am not complaining about. I am a big fan of easy recipes. All right, we just got to mix this in. And I am pressing the spatula down on the bottom of the bowl because yeah, the flour does tend to settle, it feels like. However, it's not too hard. There we go. It does look like it's all mixed in. All right. Anyway, so yeah, here we go. We are preparing our Parkin cake for bonfire night. So thank you again. And as well, hello, Cake Clock. I had one weird spider bite earlier in the fall. Oh, nice. Made me worried about bed bugs. I'll never get over spider. This makes me think of stirring my pumpkin bread earlier. Pumpkin bread. That's one thing I haven't made yet this year. Does this cake have gunpowder? Fortunately, no gunpowder. I'm pleased to say, because that would be treason. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Uh, trying to. There we go. This should do. Sorry about that. But there we go. And in it goes. And I do believe I chose the right cast iron pan. It looks like this is just the right size. This was, again, a gate marked number 7 cast iron skillet. Looks like we're just right for this. Oh, smells so good. I'm going to have to lick the bowl afterwards. All right, but there we go. As I said, the oven is set to 325 and it's going to bake for about an hour. I am not going to waste everybody's time for about an hour. So we will just get this into the oven. But thank you, everybody, for, as I said, giving me the chance to ramble on about the 5th of November. I can't say that this is a subject that I have been passionate about, but I do have an opinion about it, which I have just stated tonight. And once again, I hope I haven't upset anyone, including the Pope. And into the oven it goes. Here we go. Oh, and of course, I will record it coming out of the oven as well so that we can see how it all turns out. But now, we'll have a chance to try some of this, well, this sausage, these bangers. Okay, they're not bangers, they're just Italian sausages because, British bangers are very hard to get here in the United States, or at least on the East Coast. However, I feel like I've got to try at least one. Mm. Oh, yeah. Mm. Nice. As I said, this is a dish simply of sausages, Macintosh apples, onions, and squash, butternut squash. Nice and simple. The important part is the sausage, or the bangers, as I should say, which are very appropriate for Guy Fawkes night. Mm. Okay, but we are in the oven. It is now 9:09, so at just about between 5 and 10 past 10 tonight, this cake will come out of the oven. Okay. Anyway, thank you very much because, again, this has been my way of remembering the 5th of November with cast iron now, as well as saying a little piece about how Guy Fawkes was a terrorist and Anonymous can go stick their heads up their sphincters. Okay. And with that, I do believe we're done. So thank you once again, everybody. Thank you for your patience with everything that's happened tonight. This has been very relaxing because there was some frustration earlier. So, I'm glad to have done this, and I very much appreciate everybody who's been kind enough to stay here for it. So, thank you so much, and thank you as well, Val's Black Cat Rules and Clico. Thank you for your very full day of cooking. Yes, it has been a full day. Made a garbage cookie earlier today. I cooked these sausages in the style of a cuddle, and now we've got now we have a cake as well in the oven. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I will show you the finished cake, and have yourselves a happy evening, everybody. And get ready for another week, and we will see you again on Wednesday.